Hey curl friends, and welcome back. So in today's video I'm going to show you guys how to create these two large jumbo feeding braids. So I'm gonna just go ahead and keep it real with y'all. This hairstyle does not last a long time, so I don't recommend doing this on freshly washed hair unless you like washing your hair on wash day. I mean, to each his own. But for me personally, I'm going to go ahead and start off on a really old braid out. I just went ahead and stretched my hair the night before by doing two large cornrows going to the back, and now I'm just re-wetting them down so I can get them detangled. I'm using this really large paddle brush to detangle the hair, get it nice and tangle free. That's like the key when you're working with braids or adding in braiding hair. You want to start off on detangled hair. That way you don't end up running into snags. I'm going to go ahead and separate my hair into two large sections. I want these braids to be kind of on the side because I want that front braid that I'm going to be adding in braiding hair to. I want that to be more towards my hairline, and the other braid could just wrap around towards the back. And now that the hair is separated, I'm going to go ahead and grab my braiding hair. I'm using 1 pack of this Ombre braiding hair from Natural Boss Lady. It's like a black towards the top, and then it fades down to this ombre grayish kind of white color. I thought it would be kind of cool to have like a pop of color, playing some color for this hairstyle. This hair is really silky soft, so it's kind of hard to grip, but it's really nice and easy on the hands. So I'm grabbing some Eco Styler gel, and I'm just going to go ahead and base down the braids. Y'all know how I always do. I base down the base of my braids with gel first. I try not to get them on the ends to keep my hair nice and soft and easy to grip. You don't want it to be super slippery. If I have to, I'll go back in with some water for the ends, but I definitely don't want to add no type of crazy slip with gel to the ends of my hair. I'm using this toothbrush that I use for my edges, lay them edges down, make them nice and sleek. And I'm just going to go ahead and do a basic feed-in braid for this particular braid. This is the braid that's going to wrap all the way around to the other side of my head. It's not going to be hanging in the front, so it's pretty basic. I'm just adding in the braiding hair as I go, and I'm just doing it from the smallest strand all the way up to the largest strand towards the back. I'm adding in hair as I go pretty much as soon as the hair transfers onto my right hand. Because I am right-handed, I grab a little slither of braiding hair and add that into the braid and continue braiding. I'm pretty much just adding the braiding hair to the existing natural hair 3 strands that I use to cornrow with, and I'm just going to braid it all the way to the ends. Now this hair was pretty thick, so I did have to use some scissors to like make it a little bit thinner towards the ends. I didn't want it to be super bulky. And that braid is complete, so you can go back in. My hair, y'all, was just not cooperating. As y'all can see, it's like really old, needs to be washed, so it wasn't really cooperating. Moving on to the next braid, I'm going to do the exact same thing. I'm using my crystal white or clear Eco Styler gel to base down the braid. I'm using a soft bristle brush to brush everything into place, make it nice and sleek. And then I'm going to separate the beginning part of the braid and leave that out. That is where I'm going to attach the actual braiding hair to. The rest of my hair, I'm just going to go ahead and just braid down as tight as I possibly can. I'm going to try to make this braid as small as possible and as tight as possible. I'm not going to add in any braiding hair to this particular braid because the braid is actually going to sit on top and be sewn down pretty much. So I'm braiding it all the way down to the ends. This is my natural hair, and this is the beginning of the braid. Like I said, I'm going to use some braiding hair to grip that, and I'm just going to braid it as if I'm cornrowing the hair. I'm pretty much just attaching this as if I'm doing like a box braid kind of, and I'm just adding in braiding hair as I go from the smallest strand to the largest strand. So these are pretty small strands, and then as I get towards the ends, they're going to get larger and larger, and then the last piece is going to go towards the end. I used, I think, about the entire pack, maybe a little bit less than the entire pack, to create such a large full braid. If you want a super large braid, add in more hair. If you want a smaller braid, add in less hair. But I'm going to give the illusion of a super large braid just by pulling the strands of hair apart to make the braid a lot more fuller. You guys will see exactly how I do that towards the ends. So I'm just going ahead and braiding it all the way down to the ends, and here I am pulling the hair apart. I'm holding the braid by the middle to hold everything in place, and I'm just pretty much just fluffing the edges out, pulling them apart from each other to make the braid fuller and fuller without disturbing the actual braid. I want this to be a nice messy feed-in braid. As you get towards the top, be careful not to have your natural hair stick out of this braid and get super fluffy and messy, but you do want to go ahead and fluff out the braid, make it nice and large as you prefer. This is how big I want my braid to be, so I'm just going to go ahead and grab some needle and thread. I'm going to sew this braid down on top of my natural hair cornrow at the bottom, and I'm pretty much just sewing from the bottom of the braid. And once I get it attached, you guys will see me sewing the bottom of the braid in place on top of my natural hair cornrow. This is pretty much going to hide my natural hair cornrow towards the bottom and give it the illusion that this was actually cornrow to my scalp or my hair. This is a great technique for super short hair. If you want really large feed-in braids, you're not really sure how to do a feed-in braid, this is great to hide your natural hair underneath. And I'm just going to go ahead and just fluff the braid into place. I want it to be nice and fluffy and big, kind of like those little mermaid braids. Now that I have the two braids separately sewn, I'm going to go ahead and sew them together as one whole braid. I'm just going to take the needle and thread and just pretty much just sew it all together. That bottom braid is going to be the black braid, and then on the top is going to be gray, and it's going to look like it's all one braid. So the braid is pretty much done. I'm just going to go ahead and do some finishing touches. My messy braid is in place. My feed-in braid on the other side is in place. I'm laying down these baby hairs, and that's pretty much it. So I really hope that you guys enjoyed this. I'll have links to the braiding hair as well as all the materials that I use for this tutorial. I love you guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.